Welcome back to Creative Perspectives. I'm Brandy. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm a transitional life coach, and today's topic is going to be on verbal abuse. It is a continuation of the new series that I'm doing on verbal terror. So you can only imagine. Well, in it, I hope to really inspire you by using the love of God and showing you, whatever you go through in life, you can make it through it. It's just up to you, up to your actions, up to your acknowledgement, and up to you to take the steps to go through the processes to properly heal from whatever you need to heal from. Okay, so let's get started. So we always talk about verbal abuse as far as just flat out verbal assassinations that someone, imposes on you, because obviously it's coming from their tongue or their mouth, and it could come in the form of just flat out telling you, or it could come in the form of making jokes. Ha girl, look at you in them jeans looking all magically delicious. Now that one we love, right? Because we like our compliments. But let's say if you get the person that's like girl, when you gonna get in the gym? Didn't you say last week you was gonna go back to the gym? Now that is abusive. And that's a little covert, because they're not really telling you you're fat or that you're out of shape or something like that. They're just, sneaking it in there. It's sneaking it in to make you feel a little uncomfortable. So if you are in a situation where somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, it's a covert way of abuse, verbal abuse. Covert, keyword covert, because it makes you think, what was you really trying to say back then? Edward, or whatever the person's name is. And remember, verbal abuse, it doesn't have to just come from your partner. It can actually come from friends, co-workers, associates, strangers, you name it. It's anybody it could come from anyone. So anyway, I will list my Bible verses, when I go to edit. So stay tuned when you see writing on the screen. Okay, so let me get to it. I play too much too sometimes, but that's all right. If you don't have your inner child that still plays with you even when you get older, see, you can handle your business in life, right? But you still want to keep your inner child to where you're smiling and you are just as crazy as you were when you're like 13 or 14, far as the level of energy and life that you have in you to give. Now, if you've gone through some things and you can still maintain that, honey child, you are one blessed cookie. So I've done a lot of healing, and I'm good. I'm quick to forgive though, which I've learned to master anything, to include verbal abusive behaviors. You have to be able to forgive quickly. Don't try to internalize it. Don't try to figure out why people say and do what they say and do. You just keep living and trying to become the better version of yourself. Now, when it comes to verbal abuse, some people may not know, and they may not have the correct tools on how to even tackle verbal abuse. Some people were raised in verbal abusive environments for so many years. So the only way they can actually come out and know it is if somebody else tells them, or they might know it's wrong, but the behavior might be ingrained in them because they've been practicing the abuse for so long. So it's kind of hard to get out of those habits. It's like us. Let's check this out. How many of y'all go to Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas, or any other dinner, and you be like, oh, I ain't gonna eat that. But your habits of what you've been doing kind of start triggering you. So I'm in the gym, but I'm about to go to Thanksgiving. Lord Jesus, grandma's peach cobbler. Oh my gosh. And the greens. Then you start hyperventilating because you can't eat none of it because you got to lose some weight or you are on the diet. So it's the same. Think of verbal abusive people when they are unaware of their behaviors the same way. And then when they are notified about it, then they go left a little bit, then they come back to the center, then they go left, and then they come back to the center, and they're trying to figure it out too. So, with anything, I'm all about doing correction with love. Using God's love to do the correcting. And the reason why is because you could become a threat to somebody that's verbally abusive because they're so used to doing things their way, especially if they haven't been corrected for so long. Some people could be flat out intimidating. So you want to just keep that in mind. Just think of it as Thanksgiving dinner or holiday meals or barbecues where you're like, look at that steak. Oh Lord, I said no more red meat. But, Lord Jesus. And then you start going over there trying to get a little taste on the side, like, that's it, no more, but it's calling you. So think of it that way, like our mind monsters. So anyway, now that we talked about flat out, verbal abuse, where it's said, whether it's through joke format or whether it's just said straight out. Now, sometimes it can be done indirectly, which is the more covert way, If you don't know how to really tell what it is, just think of it this way. If it's something that makes you feel confused, empty, makes you think twice, then you've been hit with covert verbal abuse. An example is someone who is clearly, let me think, they glare at you, oh, ain't nothing wrong, I feel good, and then they over there glaring at you all crazy. You're like, you just said you feel good, so why your face look like that? So that's one example of covert. Their answers to your questions, or like if you see that something's bothering a person, it doesn't match their actions. So that's one covert way of seeing it. Another thing is if they're always agitated and snappy, and if they're mad at you every day, all day long, and they have you try to question yourself as to, what did I actually do that could make them, am I all right? So just don't do that. Don't put no energy into verbal attacks, or whether they're covert or not. A lot of times you just got to focus on where you are going in life and make sure everything you're doing aligns with that. And everybody you invite into your circle, your friendships, your, I don't know, your any circle, just make sure they're in alignment with where you see yourself going. And just remember, we live in a society full of different rearing techniques, So when you're a kid, maybe verbal abuse was present and that was okay and it was fun or light or whatever. And then when you go to school, it's not so okay to the teachers. So just remember, everyone is just raised a little different. It doesn't mean you're raised wrong. It just means different. And when you get out into society, you just got to become more aware of some of those things. Some stuff is not acceptable, and everybody has their different tolerances for what they can and cannot handle and what they can and cannot take, and that's okay. Just like we all have different goals. But let's see. Oh yes, somebody that makes you feel like null and void. So if you go and you divulge to them, hey, I didn't feel comfortable with the actions that you took, just now. It made me feel a certain way. Now, a verbal abuser is very dismissive, because really underneath it, they don't care about what you think, how you feel. You get what I'm saying? So they just don't want you to talk about it. So if they're very dismissive, that's your covert strategy of knowing that person is verbally abusive, just in a covert way. Okay? You're overreacting. That's another sign. Are you really overreacting, or are they just saying you're overreacting because they want to avoid or deny the existence of your concerns? So you don't want that either. You don't want anything that's going to make you feel emotionally correct at all. You want to feel heard, loved, cared for, respected, supported, and you want to be able to give that too. Okay? Let's see. Oh yes, a big one is omitting important information that they know could make a big difference in your life. Okay, that's another covert way. A person that ignores your request or flat out refuses to remember any and everything you say, period. That's another form of covert verbal abuse. And then also, they might get frustrated by your responses, period, because they really don't want to hear what you have to say altogether. Now, a lot of this sounds like it falls under a lot of narcissistic tendencies, doesn't it? Like a narcissist, because they really don't care about you and they don't respect you. And it's the same thing with covert verbal abuse or verbal abuse. You know, if a person loves and cares about you, they really will treat you in a way that lets you know that, hey, I understand what you're saying. I am so sorry that you felt that way. I'll try to do better, you know, and then you'll actually see the improvements instead of having the, you know, the type of behaviors that make you, stop, you know, and stop the complaining. Because really what that's about is, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear your complaints. That's the message that they're sending. And until you stop talking about it, it's pretty much their dismissive nature. Let's see what else. A lot of verbal abuse is just unprocessed emotions that just need to come out. And unfortunately, you might be the victim of that. So that's how you get the, you know, crazy bosses where you're like, man, every day I go to work, he over here talking bad about me and my kids and all that, but I got a good job, honey. I ain't trying to give up that money. But underneath it, he's just verbally abusive because there's some other stuff going on, you know. One thing that I did learn is, especially in a corporate setting, the more up you are, remember, you have people trying to take your job. There's so many different things happening. The more successful you become or the more you rise up, there's so much competition. Not only that, there's more isolation in your position. So, you know, that little bitterness and stuff, you know, sometimes people need a hug. They need to be recognized. They need attention too. So I think that's one thing, you know, in corporate format or the structure, of just people that are verbally insulting others or just inflicting covert strategies. You say hi, they just keep walking. And they heard you, but they keep walking. Covert. Covert. Okay, so another thing they do is do power plays, like trying to do the one-up strategy. That's another thing a covert abuser does, you know, like, okay, well, you did this, so I'm gonna one-up you. It's like playing chess pieces, you know, and you don't want that either. You really just want people that are healed, and you just want to pray for people who are not healed, but you also want to speak up for yourself and let them know, because like I said before, some people, they grew up in that environment, you know, and that's what they know. So sometimes people don't try to do better, you know, it depends, you know. So anyway, let's see, what else? Let's see, I'm trying to look at my notes, see if I forgot something or left something out. Okay, we talked about denial. We talked about omitting information. Now, the way you can feel, like if you are the one that is enduring the verbal abuse, whether it's, you know, covert or not, you just know it makes you feel emotionally bankrupt, one way or the other, meaning you don't know if the issue is resolved or not. So if you walk away from something like that and your intuition is just telling you, hey, you're in a state of you don't know. You're still in a state of confusion. You're still in a state of just not feeling that it's resolved. Okay? Or you might still be questioning the conversation. That, or you're still in a state of unrest, one way or the other. That is your sign that something covert just happened to you surrounding verbal abuse. Because when you talk to somebody and they really care about you, think of it this way. They're going to sit there, they're going to make sure they understand, and they're going to try to resolve it, because nobody wants confrontation, nobody wants friction. A normal, well, I wouldn't say a normal person is bad. I don't know what normal is these days. Just joking. But anyway, you just want, a normal person would make you feel heard, because they want to. Because, you know, if you are surrounded, you know, especially like all day with certain people, that's where you want the least amount of friction. Because let's keep it real, if we're inside of our homes, we want peace in the house so you could tackle the outside world. So if you got disruption in your house, you know, abuse in your home in any way, shape, or form, not just verbal, you know, and remember, verbal abuse can cross into quickly physical abuse, and sometimes it goes over time. So if some people be married 20 years, 20 plus years, and then all of a sudden the person start going sideways on them, or they could be married a year, or some people wait until after a person has their child, because then they think they got them, like, oh, I locked this one down, now I can start showing them who I really am. Look at this girl or boy, you know, and then they start showing you their hand, and you're like, woo. So you definitely want to make sure, as I've discussed before, any behaviors that you see up front, you need to address them. And you need to make good choices as far as, are you going to stay and give this person a second chance to see what it looks like, or are you going to go? And I'm a big fan of just take your time. Take your time, honey. Take your time. Take your time. You know, don't let people, you know, run your life. Don't be on the puppet strings where somebody's trying to rush you and put you on their time schedule. Don't do that. You're on your own time schedule, so you do what is right for your life path. Because remember, everybody has their own life path, you know. And then when we encounter each other, we're like playing on a chessboard, you know, if I have to use it metaphorically. You know, they have their own pieces, which are their movements in life, and then you have your own pieces, which are your movements in life. And, you know, we keep playing this game of chess, and sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, and then you could lose a lot, you know, and then once we, you know, lose all of our men, we're in a pine box somewhere. So that's why you got to play the game of life correctly, you know, and you want to be treated with dignity and respect. And you want to feel like you're being heard. You don't want anybody trying to bring confusions, illusions, delusions into your life to suit their needs. You know, and their ideas of who they want you to be. You want to be yourself, and you want to continue to grow and learn about yourself, and you want to be able to tackle your shortcomings in life yourself, and you need a good supporter. So if you have friends or you have a relationship, whether it's a husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, no matter, you know, what it is or who it is, you know, you want somebody that could walk this game of life with you. You know, you really do. And then remember, I always say this, if the devil has your mind, your heart, and your spirit, he could corrupt one of those. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes it could take you years to come up out of that. You know, and you definitely, then you never want him to have your mind. As soon as you get your mind, honey, you about to tear your end up. So you want to make sure every choice you make in life, you're trying to keep balance between your mind, your spirit, your physical being, and you want to make sure they're all in alignment. So if somebody's throwing it off, you know, with their verbal assassinations or with their you know, demonic behaviors, that's going to let you know they don't like you. Because covert abuse and verbal abuse is somebody telling you they don't like you. I don't care how many kisses you get. I don't care if the girl or boy is riding you like Seabiscuit and you like, this is the one, when you don't even know the person, or you might know them, and they're taking your stealing all the money out of your account. You get what I'm saying? Like, you want to make sure people are healthy. And I wanted to use that metaphor. I've been thinking about that movie. I was like, the movie, and then I wanted to use it last time in the airstriking video that I made, because I wanted you to see, like, we think people are so great because they give us the immediacy, or they give us our shallow needs are met. But sometimes you got to get out of the shallow version of life, which is like cars, money, women, men, stuff like that, and be able to see past that point. Because the same people that's giving you the materialistic things are the same ones that could be your personal nightmare. So you definitely have to be careful. Some people are like, oh, this person's so gorgeous, or he's so gorgeous and all that. And then the whole entire time, he does not care about you, or she does not care about you. They're over there cleaning your account out. And guess what? As soon as they get finished with you, they are adios amigos. So you have to be very discerning on who you allow into your life, and being careful will save you a lot of peace, So I just want to use that. You can have somebody that buys you everything, but they be verbally abusive, to you, or they could be hitting you behind closed doors, or they just might have a whole bunch of other women. And then when you bringing it up, you get the covert abuse, or just the flat out abuse where they just tell you, or they might even, start nitpicking you to death, and bringing that criticism your way. So you want to make sure that you're very careful, and that you take your time. There's no rush. Trust me. If a person likes you, they wait. If they're trying to rush you to come to their house, or you go to their house, or or they're trying, I think I said already, they're coming to your house, whatever, or they're trying to rush to get to know you, those are red flags that you need to be careful of. That love bombing technique. Let me go in hard and give her this and this and this and this, and be there for her and listen to all her caring. And you think they are the greatest listeners in the world, honey. They're about to take you for a ride of your life. So it's okay to be careful. It could save you from different scenarios that you work your way out of. Because one thing I learned about the devil is he can't always hang with you. So the bottom line is, if you take your time, the wrong people normally flee out of your life. There was a Bible scripture I pulled up in one of the videos where it talks about how your enemies come in one way, but then they flee in several ways. Okay? It's the same thing. If you take your time, the enemy comes into your face, and then now, because you took your time, you are sitting up there becoming the best version of yourself, and you're more focused on you and not them, because you never want to put somebody above yourself, because that says that could do a lot to you as well. You want to value yourself enough to try to discover who you are. If you are not trying to discover who you are, it's easy for somebody to come in there and romanticize you and give you all the joys and fantasies you want. But then as soon as they got you disarmed or partially disarmed, then they start testing the boundaries on you. And the only way sometimes to get them is by taking your time. When you take your time, it doesn't matter what they say. Oh, I want you to come here and, please, just, we can hang out. And nobody is that desperate. They will wait. If they're there for you in your life, they will wait for you. They will definitely wait for you. So just take your time, okay? And watch how they treat everybody else, or watch how they talk about everybody else. There was this girl I knew. She, I met her way back in early 2000s, and we just carried on. And I think I've discussed the same individual before, but she was kicked out of every single restaurant and every gas station close to where she lived. But it's everybody else's fault. So it's like at some point in time, you have to look at yourself. But, her safety mechanism was pretty much verbal assassination. If she felt threatened or felt like I wouldn't say unwanted, but like prioritized. and so that was a lot of verbal abuse to get kicked out of all those different places. And I've seen it with my own two eyes, so I know what it looks like. So I know what it is and I know what it ain't. So the bottom line is, take your time and then open your eyes so you can actually be able to see. And sometimes we can't be able to see if we're not healed. So we want to be able to, I always talk about cut the head of the snake. So you want to hit these topics head on. Now, you don't always have to address every individual instance, because if that person's not important in your life, you could just mention, hey, this is how I felt when you said that, and let them respond. And then, you got your answers. You'll get your answers. But say if there's somebody that you care about, especially if you're in a relationship and you're going to be spending a lot of time with with the individual, excuse me, sorry. But you're going to be, spending a lot of time with them, then you definitely want to position yourself to be able to speak up for yourself and to make sure you are being respected at all costs. Because you don't want to sit up there and give your heart space away to someone and start having them run all over it and abuse it. Because people do that. Remember, your perspective of an individual, you might really be open and loving to a person that you plan to have in your life for a very, very long time. But you don't know what their perspective is, and you don't know what their position is. Some people, they have agendas when they come into your life. So taking your time allows you to learn what the agenda is specifically. So if okay, well, this girl or this guy is only here just to try to sleep with you, or whatever, then you could just, they could say, oh, come meet up. You never have to meet up. You just kind of keep going on about your business, or just let them know, hey, that's not going to happen. Or every time they bring it up, you can just kind of brush it off and then you can just address it, But the truth of the matter is, you don't know the agenda. So people could gain access to you, and then next thing you know, verbal abuse starts. Whether it's through light forms of jokes, some people call it shade. Ooh, I learned a term. The new generation's term, shady. They say it in such a way to where it sounds like, you got to side-eye it, like, what do you really mean by that? So just know, some people are not there, for the right reasons in the first place, So when we're discussing verbal abuse, though, just be careful, And even like, say, if you have a friendship group or associate group or associates or whatever it may be, sometimes they can be side-eyeing you, or just, and you're like, where'd that come from? You have to pay attention. You have to be vigilant. And don't drop the ball. This is your life, and your mind, your emotions are really, really something that you really need to protect at all costs, until somebody comes in that's really worthy of it being shared in such a way to where you can, let your guards down, But when somebody first comes into your life, it's not about really having your guards up. You just want to make sure they're safe for you, and they compliment you, and that they have good intentions for you. And sometimes, trust me, some people are so tricky, it takes time, but there are always something subtle that they do that you saw in the beginning that you could reference, in the end. So, that's all I will say about that. Thank you so much for joining me. Just get people who are going to support you, who's going to love you, who's going to love on you, and make sure that's authentically done, and it's equal give and take, equal reciprocity, equal pacing. So they're not pacing too fast, pacing too slow, or, trying to get you to chase. You never do that. You're too precious for that. You handsomes and you beautiful people. So I'm going to get off of here. I hope you enjoyed this series of verbal abuse. And I plan to do more. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos, and throw in a comment. I can only get better for you. So, and I appreciate you so much for coming back, and hopefully this will remain entertaining. Yes, yes, yes. Because deep down, we are all children, and you want to have your childlike energy available and ready, honey, for the world. You don't want to be over there. What happened to you, boo-boo? No. You want to be hyped up. You want to feel your best. You want to feel your best, and it really takes for you to get people out of your space that don't belong there. Don't invite them in when they don't belong there. And keep it that way, and just have your own set of standards. And if they come in, you know, hey, come over my house and all this, man, honey, they, you know, just, or a guy, you know, men go through some stuff too. This is for men and women, by the way. So just, you know, be careful. You know, we're living in the world. We want to make it a better place, but we're living in the world. Not everybody's going to come with that grace. Not everybody had your best interest at heart. So you're just going to have to watch out for yourself and play your chess side in such a way to where you nail the other side. Take their men off the board, you know, and keep living your life, you know. And we just want you, my goal is just to always live in your life purpose. Because once you find your purpose, it's an amazing thing. And on top of that, say if you don't know your life purpose, you don't want people up there beating you down 10 feet with their words or their actions. That's going to further keep you from reaching where you need to be, or discovering where you need to be and what you need to be doing. Okay, bye. Have a great rest of your